Perfect. All right, welcome, Mariah, welcome, Abibat, welcome, everyone. We'll just give a few seconds and we would start right away. Thank you for joining in early. Welcome, Reese. Welcome. Am I able to pronounce? Okay, permit me to pronounce Adana. I think I got that right. Thank you for joining in and welcome. Okay, let's send out those emails, make those noise and group that the meeting is on. You can unmute for now if you are not speaking. That helps.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our workshop today. Love if you can create anticipation and make the other educators join us quickly. You can also share the meeting link to your fellow educator or groups. This workshop is open for everyone. Okay, so this is 12:06, and we don't want to waste much of our time, but by 12:10, we are going to start immediately. Okay, so we are back. Can you all hear me? If you can hear me, just leave an emoji, your favorite emoji in our chat box. We are going to be using our chat box to show engagement, ask our questions, feedback, and the likes. So good morning, everyone. You are welcome to the second edition of Farafina Educational Workshop. So a little introduction about us. Kachifo Limited is an independent publishing house based in Lagos, Nigeria. It was founded in 2004 by Muta Bakari, and our imprints include Farafina Books, Farafina Educational, and Prestige Books. But this workshop is being brought to you by Farafina Educational. And then Farafina Educational is the leading brand for high quality textbooks in Nigeria. So you're looking for any textbooks in any subjects, maths, English, civics, social studies. We are the number one brand for that. And each of our textbook is carefully researched and designed to enhance your pupils' curiosity and expand their learning scope. So we started this workshop series to educate our digital community of educators, and this is our second edition. So I want to appreciate everyone who has taken a little time out of, there's no time, but you've taken time to be here. I appreciate you for joining us. I also want to appreciate our exceptional facilitator who is going to be hosting and leading this workshop. For today, our exceptional facilitator is no other than Murphy. He has been a seasoned educator with 12 years of teaching experience and certifications from Microsoft and UNESCO. So Murphy, I'm handing over this workshop to you to kickstart. Thank you. Murphy, you're muted. Sorry.
Okay, good day, everyone. It's nice to be here today. Please, I would suggest you use the chat box when you have questions. And of course, if we get to the point where we accept audio responses and questions. But for now, in order to minimize distraction, please use the chat box. If you have questions, you have contribution, we have officials that are kind of there to get your questions, to get your input. Is that okay? Use your favorite emoji if you got that clearly. Okay, I'm still expecting some people to show that they are in this place today. Kind of quiet. Use your favorite emoji. Let's see that you are here. You are ready. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. 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 Now, in order to minimize distractions, we would suggest you turn off your video and then kindly mute yourself, please, as we go through this session. It will help us to have a smoother class or a smoother session. Okay, so we're good to go, right? Good to go, good to go. Yeah. Now, let's talk about why Farafina has decided to host this session. This workshop would help teachers to understand how classroom management is or should be done, and some of those things that you need to know about your classroom. And why you, as a teacher, is not just there to teach, but also there to manage. This means as a teacher, you are a manager. Okay, so are we ready to listen and are we ready to learn? Okay, and also I want to say that this session will not just be a talk and talk session. So don't expect me to give you, like, I'm just there for the guy to feed me with so many things, or for Farafina to feed us. No, we are here to listen to each other. We are here to make our contributions to speak and to be listened to. So I'm going to share my screen now as we proceed. Now, if you can see my screen, kindly confirm that. Like I said, someone is okay. Okay. Okay, this is good. Okay. Okay. All right. So I will just proceed now. First, let's start by talking about classroom management. Classroom management. Now, when I talk about classroom management, what do I mean? What is it? What is it about? What is classroom management? Can you put your answer in the chat box? I'll be seeing your answers and then we'll discuss further. What is classroom management? What does it mean to you? I believe this is not one of those subjective things where it means different things to different people. I know that we have some similarities between what anyone here is going to say today about classroom management. So can you drop your input in the chat box? Just type it, make it short so we can see it and read it. So kindly mute your microphone and then turn off your video, please. Can you do so that there won't be distraction? So I'm in the chat box now, and before, okay, I can see somebody raising his hands. Please, for this part of this workshop, we'll be having you putting answers in the chat box. Okay, we'll get to the point where, of course, we allow you to say what you want to say with your voice notes and voice messages. But for now, just put your responses in the chat box. Okay, while you are putting your responses in the chat box, let me just continue putting your responses. I want to tell you a short story about this teacher who we all believed was a student in our own class. Okay, yeah, we all believed she was a student in our own class because the students were in charge, so they were just controlling her. And sometimes the management of the school would make jest of her and say, you know that in your classroom you are not the one in charge, your students are in charge. She would just smile over that. But do you know that that is an insult for a teacher who should be in charge to become someone who is being controlled by the students? That's an insult. So it means that the teacher lacks what we call classroom management. So I have responses in the chat box. According to Michael, classroom management, all right, different responses are popping in. Okay, that's good. So someone said it's a method of ensuring coordination in the classroom to ensure effective teaching and learning. That's correct. Okay, I may just take one or two responses, then we'll proceed. Okay, someone said classroom management is the process, ways, and methods by which a teacher passes his or her message, his or her lesson in order to achieve the desired result. This may include rules, classroom engagement, communication patterns, and instructional methods. Now, everything you've said is good. And I'm sure we can go on and on talking about classroom management and how it works and the benefits and everything that it includes. Now, one thing is certain, when we talk about classroom management, we mean how a teacher is able to manage the classroom, how a teacher is able to make sure there's effective lessons and the class runs smoothly from day to day. So now, since we understand what classroom management is about, let's talk about the benefits. So what are the benefits of classroom management? If somebody walks up to you and say, okay, let's say somebody who is new into teaching and the person comes and says, and asks you, what is classroom management? What is it about? How would you describe it? How would you describe the importance, rather? If the person asks you, what are the benefits of classroom management? What would you say? What are the benefits of classroom management? Can you put your answers in the chat box too? What are the benefits? So while you go putting your answers in the chat box, let me just tell you one of the benefits of classroom management. Now, I know teachers who, after every session, whether it's online session or in-person classes, they go and take pain relief. Yeah, they take pain relief. Pain relief drugs like paracetamol, Panadol, and all those. Now, the thing is, for me, I've never subscribed to taking pain relief after classes. Do you know why? Because to some extent, I'm not perfect, but to some extent, I understand how to manage my classroom. Now, if you know how to manage your classroom, the stress, you have less to stress about. Okay? So that's one of the benefits of classroom management. You don't have to stress yourself and sweat over things because the classroom is not well managed. And that's why you see a teacher is she's screaming at the top of her voice, hey, you live there, you jump here, you come here, and of course, who won't get stressed by running around every day like that? So that's one of the benefits. It kind of eases your stress from day-to-day activities. So I can see it helps to maintain orderliness in the class. That's very, very important. In terms of the teacher to manage the time and it reduces stress. Very important, because if you have time to teach, of course, we all understand how the school system works. Whether it's online or in-person classes, you have time to teach, and you cannot always exceed your time. Now, this is it. Some teachers have the opinion that it's about passion. So when I teach, so how many of you have listened? How many of you have heard something like this? When I teach, I just forget about the time. I just want to go on and on and on and on. Please put that. I want to see an emoji if you've heard a teacher make a statement like that. When I teach, I just forget about the time. I'm so passionate about it. Let me see that. Okay. Now the next question is this: does that show effectiveness? Does that show that that teacher is a good manager of his time? Passionate teachers, let's hear from you. I know some teachers who feel attacked by that question may not want to share any reaction. So when I teach, I just get lost in the spirit. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Lost in the Spirit, can we talk? Okay, because this workshop by Farafina Educational is not about attacking anybody, it's about learning. I will continue to learn and grow. The truth is, I love to learn, and if I were here today as somebody to just sit and just listen, I would even love it more, because I love to learn than to teach. Because when I learn, I have more to teach. Or when I learn, so let's talk about it. So as a teacher, you get lost in the spirit, in quotes, and you teach and teach forever. So the question is, whose time is that? Why not manage the time so that you have time for other subjects, so other subjects will not suffer? So that's one of the benefits of classroom management. You can cover each of the subjects you have or each of the topics you have when you can manage your time. But that will be quite difficult if you can't manage your time. So getting lost in the spirit is not a good trait. Please, as we are talking and you're putting your response in the chat box, someone is in charge of the chat box. So you always get link to follow Farafina Educational. Farafina is one of the leading brands, and I don't want you to miss out in the goodies they have to share. So please do follow, always check the chat box and follow them on their social media. We're going to discuss that much later. Okay, so that is it. You want to make sure you manage your class. And let me tell you this, in online classes, if you teach online, let me see your emoji. Show me you teach online. Just raise your hand or do something. Let me know that you teach online. So let me tell you what happens to you or what you do to yourself that you don't know. I used to fall victim of this. So I know how much I charge per hour, but then if I decide to go on and on and on and on teaching someone and I exceed my time, let's say instead of 1 hour, I go 1 hour, 30 minutes, and let's say I'm paid $20 per hour, it means I've worked for $30 because I did 1 hour, 30 minutes. But that's not what they asked you to do. So they're going to pay you for 1 hour. You see that now? So who is losing? You. So let's proceed. I don't want us to waste much time. So let's proceed. So now you've got that, I believe. Okay. Okay, and then we'll talk about the benefits for teachers. Now we have benefits for teachers when it comes to classroom management, and we've discussed some of them. Less stress for you, and then you can achieve your objective because you can teach and know, okay, I've covered these things. These are the things I intended to cover, and I've covered them. It gives you so much joy, doesn't it? Of course it does. And then impact on teaching. Now you have a good notion about teaching. Okay, some people have a terrible notion about teaching. They say, how can I go from morning to evening stressing myself over other people's kids? That's the wrong notion. Why? Because they don't know how to manage the classroom. So it comes back on them and everything. So it affects teaching as a profession too, as it affects teachers, those who do the job. So now let's look at key principles of effective classroom management. What are the key principles of effective classroom management? I have some here, you can see them. After this, we go off what I've got here, and we're going to discuss some of them that are not here. In fact, somebody said that's one way to know smart students or smart listeners. When you give them some things, they say, okay, these are good, but I think there are some more I could talk about. So number one, the key principles of effective classroom management are establishing clear expectations. Now, know your boundaries, okay? Know the parts where you have to cover, know what to expect. So let's say you're teaching grade 1. Don't expect the same things or the same vibe you get from grade 1 from SS1 or grade 10. Don't expect the same thing, okay? Because what those ones are grown ups, what they think is different from what grade 1 would think. The stress you go through may be different from what grade 1 would give you or would want you to go through by their behavior and everything. So establish clear expectations for yourself. Know what to expect and know how much you can give. That's very important too. Also, we have build positive relationships. Now, this is where some people miss it. By positive relationship, I'm talking about you having good relationship with your students or with your pupils. A good positive one, not a negative one. Of course, I don't want to discuss negative relationships, but we know what negative relationships are all about. Any relationship that does not cover the teaching and learning system is a wrong one. Okay, so build positive relationship with your students, and that will make them respect you, and that will make them want to follow your principles or anything you lay down for them to follow. And then we have consistent enforcement of rules. Now, you can't go wrong if you are consistent, okay? Don't wave it off for anyone, because if somebody does something and you say this is wrong, don't accept it or don't smile at another student who does that same thing. It shows you are not consistent and it shows you are biased. So if you want to maintain effective classroom management, you should be consistent in enforcing the rules of the classroom. Another thing is effective communication. There should be effective communication. And I think it starts from you knowing how to go about that communication in the first place. So effective communication means that you can talk to your students or your learners, pupils, as the case may be, and let them know what you expect. Now, this is it. How many of us have classroom rules? If you have classroom rules, just show with an emoji. Let me see that. You have classroom rules in your classroom. Let me see hands, or let me see. Okay, good. Okay, 1. I want to get about 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. Now, classroom rules. How does classroom rules work? Now, do you know that some teachers do it wrongly? This is what they do. They just walk into the class and tell the students the rules they made the day before, maybe the previous night alone in their houses or in their house. They don't go into school and say, oh, children, listen, these are the rules on the board. I want you to follow these rules. Number 1, don't make a noise. Number 2, don't do this. Number 3, don't do this. Do you know that there's a better way? This is it. Okay, before I give that, if you have any question, you have anything you want to say, please put it in the chat box. The chat box is available for that. We have a segment for questions and answering where you will talk and you'll be allowed to use your voice messages. So this is it. There's a better way to do that. Instead for you to just come to the classroom and bring the rules you made, because then you'll be acting like Moses. You're acting like Moses by just bringing, you just brought the 10 commandments and you're like, God gave us this commandment and you must follow them. That shouldn't be. That shouldn't be. Even though that seems to be effective for some teachers, let me show you the better way. This is what to do. Why not make those rules with the children or with your students? Why not make it with them? Yeah, instead of bringing the rules like Moses, the 10 commandments in the class, say, these are the 10. Why not make them with the students? So let's say the first week of resumption, you call the students together and say, oh, it's a new term. Let's talk about how we can make this classroom work and run smoothly. So you start and you say, you ask the students, so what do you think number 1 should be? What are those things that you believe the class must take note of on a daily basis? I tell you, one of them will tell you no noise making. One of them will tell you no interruption of the teacher unnecessarily. One of them will tell you no stealing or picking somebody else's things or anything. Now listen, those things they are saying, take note of them and use it to draft yours. Now this is the effect of that. If they start to drift, you can always remind them that they created the rules themselves. So you're in the classroom, you are teaching, and Michael is jumping around and playing around. I'm sorry, if your name is Michael in this place, please just find a place in your heart to forgive me. So you can call Michael and say, Michael, what's number 5 here? So let's say Michael was the one that even, oh, there's Michael here. Okay. I'm going to apologize more after this session. So ask Michael, what is number 1? Michael says, no jumping around. I said, Michael, do you remember that you came up with this number? Say, yeah. So why are you jumping around? Why are you going against your own rules? So it's quite effective, and I would like us to try it. How many of us would start trying that as on today and henceforth? That's if you haven't been doing so. Can you show with an emoji? I would like to see your hands or anything you have to show that, yeah, I got that. Okay, that's good. I'm not expecting Mr. Michael to show any emoji. I think the guy is offended. That was just a joke. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so that's it. Now let's go off the slide. These are the things I've written down. The key principles for effective classroom management. Just 4, because of course I can't discuss all of them. So what other effective principles of classroom management do you know? Can you put them in the chat box? Put them in the chat box, let's say. I love that. Those rules should be documented and displayed. So, and do you know the funny part of that? The funny part is that some people create rules and then they leave the rules in their locker. So the question is, who are those rules for? For the cockroaches and maybe, I don't know, those cockroaches in your locker, or maybe the flies there, the mosquitoes there, anything you have there. Because if they are for the children, then, or for the students, then it should be displayed, it should be documented. That's a good one. Okay, I'm looking for all. Okay, so I can just take 1 or 2. Okay, I value all responses. I can just take 1 or 2 in order to manage our time. So somebody said the rules should be done with the children. Good. With consequences. I love that. But this is it. Make sure your consequences are not too, they shouldn't be too strict. They shouldn't be too rigid. Okay? Because you understand that in this in the 21st century, it's so easy to tag a teacher as an abuser. You know, it's so easy. The parents will just come to school and say, oh, this teacher abused my child, physically or mentally or emotionally. So let's know the consequences. It shouldn't be too strict. Having classroom procedures, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, so I want 2 more. Okay, now can somebody put up 1 or 2 consequences you could put when it comes to flaunting classroom rules? 1 or 2 consequences you could put. Okay. Do you know that some of the consequences people use and teachers use, and I think it's cool. I think it's especially if you know the limit. That's why I spoke about you knowing your limit earlier. So one of them would be deprivation. Deprivation could mean that your break time could be cut or could even be denied, depending on the nature of the offense. Yeah. So they know the consequences, and especially younger learners, they don't want to be interrupted when it comes to their break, when it comes to they playing and jumping outside. Okay, somebody said writing lines. Wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. And and also giving classroom responsibilities. Yes. Now, giving classroom responsibilities is one way. Okay, so since you've done this, you'll be the one in charge of the board. You always be the one to wipe the board. That's good. It's not too strict. And avoid giving. Okay, now this is it. This is why effective communication is important. If you are going to discipline the child with that, and the child keeps doing that same thing, you might want to change that thing, because it's easier. It's very easy for parents to see or to take it the wrong way and say this child is kind of picking on my child. I'm sure 1 or 2 persons here today, 1 or 2 teachers here today must have had instances where parents will come and say, this child is picking on my child. Can anybody attest to that? Can anyone attest to that? This teacher is picking on my child. Yeah. Okay. This Mr. Michael is very active in this place, and we said, okay, I will leave that for the admin to explain that to you. I don't want to jump, but I think those that are very active in today's session will benefit if they get some questions correctly. Okay, so please let's continue to. Oh yeah, lots of privileges. That's one of them. Okay, someone even suggests, why not even let the students come up with their consequences? Yeah, like what would be the consequence of this? What would be the consequence of these students to do so? Yeah, good. But now this is why you are the manager. Okay, what does the manager do? The manager manages. So even if the students come up with funny consequences, you could look at some of them say, okay, this is good, but this cannot be there. Because at the end of the day, if things go wrong, the parents will not come for the students or the pupils, they will come for you, the teacher. So make sure the consequences are not so rigid, like I said, and sometimes you can just look at, don't be too rigid, because let's say someone is not feeling too well in your class and the person did something that deserves one of those, or that's kind of which the effect will be one of those. What do? Do you go ahead and say, oh, rules are rules? No. That is why you shouldn't be rigid. You shouldn't be too strict with them. You could say, okay, he's not feeling too well. Let's just wait this out. Let us wait it for today. And that works, and that's fine. So that's one thing. Somebody said, please, can we relate the above mentioned to an online classroom? Okay, which one in particular? Which one in particular? Okay, now let's say that as you try to clarify, the teacher modifies the consequences. Good. Now, let me tell you, even in online classes, even by teaching one child, like I've taken 2 students today online, and none of them is in Nigeria, but this is it. Even just taking one child, I always let the child know, don't do this, don't do that, we don't do this. And sometimes I would just ask, do we do that in the class? Simple question can just make the child come back to his or her senses. Okay, to say something like, oh, Kamara, what's the effect of what we are doing now? Will that make us achieve our goals for today? You say no. So why are you doing it? That simple question can bring the child back to, you see, the truth is, if you want to teach online or in person, because this session is not just for online teachers, it's for both teachers, both online teachers and in-person teachers. Listen, the truth is, you have to know how to manage your emotions, okay? Because you will get students that can act really funny, like really funny. So I was teaching a child one time, we were discussing mathematics or so, and the next thing was a switch. So I said, I'm going to the beach today. I'm going to the beach today. Do you know what? If I didn't manage my emotion, now the problem is the child wasn't even, the child had not got what I was trying to communicate. So I could have just said something like, is that what we are here today? What's my business with the beach? I'm not, what's my business? Can we just face, this is why we are here today? No, I didn't do so. You see, it's called managing your emotions. So what I did was, oh, that's good. That's good. Maybe next time you invite me, but today, can we face what we are doing now? Can we talk about this now? That's simple. That is as simple as it gets. So there are some things you can just acknowledge, like I just did. Okay, that's good. So the child won't feel, listen, some of these students or pupils are with you because they want to be with you. I know you say, oh, their parents love me. Excuse me. If the child decides to downplay everything you do, the child will do so, and the parents will have no choice but to let you go. If you find that to be true, please put a signal in the chat box or an emoji. Yes, that's the truth. No matter how good you are, in fact, there was one student who consciously didn't follow the teacher. Like consciously, everything the teacher did, taught heaven and earth and everything, the child didn't follow. Until one time the teacher left the school, and another teacher came and they were trying to ask the child, why didn't you ever go with that teacher? The child said, it's not as if what he was teaching me was too difficult. I intentionally didn't want to get it, to frustrate him, because I didn't like it. Okay, now this is the balance. Everything you do shouldn't be to make your students like you, but don't make them hate you. If you can relate to that, put that in the chat box on emoji. Everything you do shouldn't be to let them like you. Don't bring yourself down to, I'm too scared. The truth is, I'm one teacher that is never scared. I'm not scared. So the worst that will happen is you say, Mr. Murphy, we won't continue with this class. I will say, fine, it's okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. Respectfully. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And but Just be professional. So a student is not like recently. I'm taking one child in the UK, and the child wasn't doing an assignment. And I'll give the child the assignment. She will come back. She won't do it. She will not do. She will not do. She will not do it. So I'll keep telling the mom, of course, this child didn't do this assignment. This child didn't do this assignment. The mother will just, sometimes the mother will not even acknowledge the message. She will just ignore. Guess what? One time I just sent a message to her. I said, it's okay. It's fine. I guess this child is so very busy, and that's fine. But mom, since the child is so busy or is too busy to do my assignment, I will stop giving the child assignments. In fact, I will not give the child any other assignment until she turns in the previous assignment. Guess what? The next day, she turns in the assignment. She turned in the assignment the next day. What an effective way to go. There was no fight. That means I wasn't scared of losing them, but of course, I don't want to lose them. More clients, more money. I think we're spending so much time on this session. I think somebody said it's difficult to control children doing online classes. I teach online, okay, and it is not be easy to control them properly. Yes. Okay, so let's talk about that. Online classes. Now, don't just try, let me suggest it, don't just try to control the student. Try to have a good rapport with the parents. This is it. So that you won't do the job alone. The truth is, when it comes to online classes, any type of class, whether it's online or in person, you shouldn't do the job alone. The job is not yours alone. I think one of the wrong notions of this century is to say, if the student does not do well, the teacher has failed. That's a common thing teachers say, people say, and teachers say, but it's very wrong. No. The job to make the student do well, it's not solely on the teacher, but the teacher can as well consider it as if it's his own responsibility. Take it to yourself 100%, but know in your mind that it's not just on you. So why not involve the parents? Why not get the parents to, okay, I observe this student doesn't follow the class so time. Is it because the child is tired? Can we change the time? Can we do this now? Get the parents involved. Why? Because if you don't achieve your learning objective and everything, it will fall back on you. They will come back to you and say, you're not a good teacher. So I hope I answered the question. That question was from Michael. I think I would like to meet this Michael after this session. Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. We have polls today, and I think we can put some of our polls in the chat box. Like I said, we have somebody in the comment section who will be putting up some things that we can go through and, of course, answer. So let's look at the chat box. Let's look at the chat box before we continue this session. Let's look at the chat box. So how do you get to get the poll, is it posted yet? Has it been posted?
Sorry, Murphy, let's take questions before our poll.
Okay,
Yes.
questions. Okay. So please, the questions you cannot put in the chat box, the ones you feel you want to say. But let me tell you, we cannot talk about classroom management in an unmanaged event. So this event is well coordinated. So when it's time to speak, just know that you have about 30 seconds to give whatever you want to give. Yeah, because I know that as teachers, we like to talk, and sometimes teachers can just go overboard talking about one thing and giving one instance, another instance. So the mother did that, the grandfather did that, the grandmother did that, the great grandmother did that. We don't want to do that, please. So we'll just accept about 30 seconds responses. So just bear that in mind. You shouldn't exceed that 30 seconds when it's time for you to say something. So is that clear, please? Can you give an emoji? Let me see that everybody's well on the same page. Good. And that's to manage our time. That's to manage your own time, because I know that it's not easy getting teachers here today. Some of you are even in classroom. I can bet that one or two teachers here should be in their class. They've thought, they just try to hide and get more value, add more value to themselves. I can bet that. So we want to make sure we value that time and not abuse this privilege you guys are giving to us to be here today.
Okay, so Patience Jacob is raising her hand, but before we call on her, we have someone, Chinwe, who has asked on the chat box. So she's asking, many parents don't even encourage or guide their children to do assignments. what will the teacher do?
Okay. Now, sometimes managing a situation is knowing, and please don't quote me wrongly. You see, there are laws, there are exceptions, and there are middle grounds. I will explain. Sometimes managing a situation doesn't mean that the situation is solved. No, it just means that you and the parents understand the situation, and at no point in time will they put it to you that it's your fault. Why? Because even seasonally, you keep mentioning it. Okay, this child doesn't do his assignment. He didn't do it today. Why not tell the parent? If the parent does not always don't just call parents and tell them. Make sure one way I communicate with parents is I rather send messages, chats, or emails. Why? Somebody said so that there'll be evidence. You get it, you get the system, right? Okay. When there's no evidence, there's nothing. There'll always be evidence that I told you this. Oh, on the 1st of January, I told you that this child wasn't doing that. I mean, on the 3rd, I complained on the same thing, but don't over complain. You see why I said there are rules and don't over complain. Now, if you over complain, it will look as if you are tired of the student. You see, I think this teaching job is beyond just teaching in the classroom. Okay, so for that parent who is not supportive of the assignment, why not you first think about reducing the assignment? Talk to the student. Tell the student, you don't do your assignment and I want to reduce the assignment. How many would you like? Okay, I got one student too. I wanted to be giving her assignment every day. Now, the parents never said no, but I felt she didn't appreciate everyday assignment. It would be stressful. So I spoke with the student. I said, you don't do your assignment. Now tell me, how many days a week would you like me to send your assignment, to you? Now, in order to avoid the student taking control of the situation and saying, just give me once a week or don't give me at all, I did something. I said, so you have options. So I gave options. I said, number one, I could give it twice weekly or 3 times weekly. Of course, I think you know what the student went for. You know what she went for. She went for twice weekly. Of course, the list. And you know why? She went for the list. She doesn't like assignments. But that kind of reduced my stress. So I gave assignments twice weekly to that student. And I asked her, when do you want this assignment? She said, Wednesdays and weekends. So on Monday, I teach. After teaching, I go and rest. Tuesday, no stress. Wednesdays, I give assignment. Thursday. So you have to know what works, okay, for you and the student. And please, you don't have to quarrel over some things. So the student is always running around. Cover what you can cover. In love, I'm not asking you to just let me just do that. No. I think that's the confusion and my perception about this whole thing. It all depends on the teacher. If student fail, it's teacher that failed. I don't believe so. Because it doesn't depend on you alone. But act as if it does. Did that sink? Act as if it does. Give your best. But no, it doesn't. So when it doesn't go well after giving your best, just know that it doesn't. It doesn't depend on you alone. But teach, give your best. You have 1 hour to teach your students. Why not teach for that 1 hour and then cover what you can cover? The other ones you can't cover, move it to the next class. That's my suggestion, please. Hello, ma'am. So you have something else?
Mariah is also suggesting a tip. Okay, Patience, you can go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, Patience, you can ask your question.
Okay. Miss Patience, please kindly unmute and ask a question. Is she still here?
I don't think
someone else can go ahead and ask a question. Somebody said if a child is not doing the assignment, okay, I think I've answered that.
No, I think this is a suggestion. If a child is not doing the assignment, parents should be talked to and also have a conference with them. Reducing the assignment wouldn't solve the issue.
Good. I think to some extent, I agree with this person. Okay. Now, let me say something. When you say parents should be talked to, the connotation of talking to might mean saying what you shouldn't say. Of course, I think the things I said you can discuss with the parents. Was that not part of my discussion? Did I mention that? Who can attest to that? I mentioned that, right? Or did I skip that? Okay, good. You can discuss with the parents, but don't know that, especially when it comes to online classes, even in person class, in schools, some of you still teach in schools and it's good. Even in schools, there's a limit to what you can talk. Do you know that you can call? Oh, I can remember one time I was speaking with a parent. She was like, my boy didn't do well. I said, yes, ma'am. Okay, just looking at this, look at this scenario. So I said, yes, ma'am. Yeah, I didn't do well in mathematics. Ma'am, let me tell you something. One thing I found is it seems like he forgets easily. She said, blood of Jesus. Blood of Jesus. My son does not forget. You see that? You see that? You see that? You see that? Everything is wisdom. You see, in this teaching, nothing is cast on stone. Now, did you do the assignment? Maybe it's too much for that child. Have you considered that? Have you considered that maybe it's too much for the child? It could be too much for the child. You have to reduce it. And I don't want to talk so much about the number of assignments. You have 10 questions. And some of those, out of the 10 questions, 3 of those questions are just the same kind of questions. Why don't you use them to 10 and have different aspects of the topic? Reducing the assignment is one way to go about that. So let's have someone else. I hope she
Please,
understands.
if you have more questions, you can unmute and speak.
Okay. Okay, so if you have more questions, kindly first show a signal and then you can unmute and speak. Okay. While we are waiting for that, I want us to, can we go on with our discussion?
Yes, we can. So sorry, Murphy, are you done with the slides?
No, I'm almost done. In about 5-10 minutes, I should be done.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh,
Then go ahead.
okay.
We don't have more questions.
Okay. Okay. Now, strategies for effective classroom management. What are those strategies? Number one, I would subscribe for proactive and reactive strategy. So proactive is what you do before the class or before there is a misbehavior, before there's something goes off. And reactive is how you react if there is or if something goes wrong. So yeah, before you teach, your classroom rules will be one thing to go about. Oh, there's classroom, there are things you follow. Number two is it could be your discussion with the child and let the child know that you're always there to help, like be a friend. And that's one way. Let me just give this tip. That's one way to go about demo class. Some of you have demo classes, or some of you have demo, even in schools, you have micro teaching, but they never call you back because you just think it's about bombarding them with information. No, you have to be warm. You have to show that you want them to succeed. You have to be a friend, but don't turn the class to friendship conversation and everything. So that's one tip. And number two, creating a positive classroom environment. The classroom environment should be friendly. And this would mean that you are not hostile. You can't wear a frown every time. You can't wear a frown every time in the class. So I'm trying to let them know this is what I do, this is what I don't take, this is what I don't take, this is what I don't take. This no. Mr. Take, you have to take it easy. You have to take it easy. You just have to know how to create a positive classroom. Be positive. Let them know that you like to listen to them. Now, a teacher that has that creates a positive classroom environment will always get the best from the students because the environment will be friendly and everything. And then number three, engaging students in learning. Now, someone will say, okay, how does this come into play? This is how it comes into play. So let's say you're in the classroom and you're having a meeting. Let's say you're having a meeting with the proprietress or somebody called your attention. The question is, you love them to do what? No, you love them to do what? To sit quietly and be waiting for the teacher. I wish that works. That won't work. That won't work. By the time you return, they have already turned the class to a playground. So what you do is, why not give them something to do? Say, study this page, study this, answer these questions. That works. That works. Yeah, that works well. Okay. And can I do that in online classes? Yes. So let's say I'm trying to, and that's one thing about managing classes. It shouldn't be in the class. You see, you don't try to come to the class to perform magic. You manage the class before the class. There are things you put into place to make sure the class is well managed. So if I'm going to create my slide, or I have my slide, but I'm trying to open it before I share, I don't have to do that when the class is on. I don't have to do that while the class is on. The slides should be opened. Like this slide was open before the session. So when I want to share, I can just share my screen. Okay? So that kind of helps me manage my class in online classes and even in person classes. You know the things you put in place before you start your teaching and everything. You know the things you put in place after your classes. So let's say you teach in schools and then you know somebody's very fast in his work. When he's through with his work, we start jumping. Why not, as soon as he's doing his work, put a storybook beside him and say, when you finish your work, take the storybook. So there's no space for you to start jumping while waiting for others. That's strategy. So you must learn to engage students in learning because there's no vacuum in nature. Don't think they will just sit down quietly. Who does that? Who does that? Definitely not children. They don't do that. And you know that. You know that for real. You know that for a fact. So number 4 is managing disruptive behavior. I think I have to stop sharing my screen to talk about this. Managing disruptive behaviors. Now, this happens in both online classes and in-person classes in schools and everything. Because students will always do something that's off, you should first learn how not to go the way they went. Okay? Someone put it that way. Someone put it this way. The person said, if things go south, go north. Don't react immediately to some things. Okay, there's some correction that should be done immediately. There's some things, somebody is leaving the class and others can see him leave the class and they're saying, Mr. Murphy, he's leaving the class, he didn't take permission. Don't just look away. No, you have to address that because that action can kind of pollute, in quote, the minds of others. It is disrupting the class and you saw that. So number 1, I would suggest make sure you don't get too don't take it too personal. Okay, I would like to share an experience, but first I would like to hear your views on this strategy for effective classroom management. We have put 4 here, and I know there are some other ones you would like to mention. Please put them in the chat box. Yeah, I think this will be the last. Put them in the chat box. Strategies for effective class management. Put them in the chat box. Please put them in the chat box. Okay. You can put them in the chat box. I'll attend to them shortly. Okay.
Okay, in the absence of okay, we have Miss Ogenekome response here in the chat box. Oh. Okay, so Murphy has left the meeting. I think that's because of his network. Thank you, Miss Ogene, for your response. She said, in order to manage an online class and this is not just for online classes, physical classroom as well. A teacher should foster positive relationships with students by showing genuine interest, empathy, and support through digital means such as video conferencing to engage with the students face to face, responding promptly to messages and comments, using breakout rooms for small group discussion, encouraging participation through polls, quizzes, and interactive activities. These are all really great suggestions. Murphy, over to you. Sorry, you're muted.
Okay, sorry for that interruption. I'm through with my slide. Just
Okay, we just
okay.
we have another suggestion here from another teacher, Miss
Okay.
Yemi Adewale. She's suggesting that she suggested
Mister,
that
please.
teachers should.
Mister, please.
Do you have a question?
No, no, no. I said Mister, not Miss.
Oh, sorry for that. Mr. Yemi
Okay.
Adewale
Okay.
suggesting that teachers should build relationship with students and clear
Yeah.
expectations should be established.
Yes, very important. Very important. His suggestion is welcomed. It's a fact. It's a fact. Thank you very much, Mr. Yemi. Mr. Yemi, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome, Mr. Murphy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So last on the slide, practical tips and techniques. I think you went through this, right?
I haven't gone
Ma,
through
you go
it.
through,
No,
you've gone through
I
it.
haven't. I haven't. You can take it.
Okay. So starting up the classroom, you're starting up the classroom would mean even the sitting arrangement, like the way the students are sitting, to make sure. Of course, you know there are some students that shouldn't be too far from you because anything can happen. You know them. And then using visual and verbal cues, and you know that would be both what they see around them. Your classroom should look good now, but it shouldn't look like a shrine, right? Putting too many decorations everywhere, charts everywhere, kind of sometimes look funny and can become distractions. So you just put them strategically. That's of course your wash will be too busy. They should just be strategically busy, but not too busy. And then implementing reward systems. Do you know that you could even use class rep position as a way of rewarding good behavior? So if a student has been doing so well, why not let him become the class rep for just 1 week? It makes it look like, wow, this teacher values my contribution. And lastly, handling challenges. We've talked about this over the course of this meeting. The way you handle challenge matters a lot. Don't lose your cool, okay? And then that is it. We are officially in the interactive session. So let's talk. Let's talk. If you have anything to say, we have question and answer now. And then you are also permitted to cite case studies and real life situations, real life scenarios. This is just a good discussion and everything. Don't forget, I also mentioned one where I spoke about the teacher who was not in charge of our class. So you can just mention one or two, but you have about 30 seconds to make sure we save our time. So please do go ahead. If you want to say any scenario you've seen, one or two things other teachers could learn from, let's go. Maybe of effective management, of effective class management, or of an ineffective class management. Share one of or two of your experiences.
Okay, can I speak?
Okay, Miss Bukola, you're muted. You want to share?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, one of the effective classroom management, which I'd used for a nursery two people, was when I noticed they're very apathic. I decided to have everybody engaged with and responsibility in the class. So we had those that will help the teacher in getting the marker and stuff, and those who help with the briefs when they're about to have lunchtime. and those who help in arranging the chairs and table and books. And it worked well because everybody knew they had a role in class, and
Yeah.
nobody was the class was in order, and I had the best class. So I feel engaging the student and making them responsible makes them to also know that they feel important, makes them happy, and
Yes.
you have good
True. True.
classroom management there.
So
Thank you.
true. So true. Yeah. That's a welcome contribution. That's so correct. Thank you very much, ma'am. So another person. Miss Juliana, do you have a contribution? Hello, Miss Juliana, do you have a contribution?
Mr. Murphy, good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I joined the Zoom
Workshop.
late.
Okay.
Yes, I joined the workshop really late, so I've missed a lot.
Okay.
Yes.
Just make sure you follow FarafinaEdu on social media. Okay, so while we are waiting for further questions, I will just
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Murphy.
okay. Please kindly follow or reach us at FarafinaEdu on our social media, yeah, Facebook, um, Instagram, and also follow me on LinkedIn. I'm just Murphy Irehovbude, Murphy Irehovbude, LinkedIn and Facebook. But on Instagram, and I'm Mr. Murphy Digital Teacher. You can always reach me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much again. Thank you
Welcome.
to everyone who joined our workshop today. We really appreciate. If you look at the chats, if you take a look at the chat box, I've pinned links to our Instagram handle and also links to for you to learn more about Farafina Educational. Like I said, we are the leading brand for high quality textbooks in Nigeria. So if you want to get textbooks in any subjects, mathematics, English, civic, social studies, children literature, just reach out to us. If you're already on our digital community, we are always plugging you to our different resources, opportunities, tips, and workshop series like this. We are going to have the next one very soon in October. So just do well to engage on our digital community and you get information on that. Thank you so much, everyone, again. We are also going
Thank
to be
you.
sending, we are going to be sharing the recording of this workshop at the end. You get it days after now. So yeah, we took notes of people who have been, educators who were very um, who engaged well on this workshop. And so we are going to be reaching out to you for your numbers. We have airtimes to give out as a small goodie for joining and participating in the workshop. And then we also have our poll. If you can go through your screen right now, click on the part where it says activities and just take our little poll that is there. We are going to also be giving out airtime to the educators who get the right answer. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you can see that it's saying a new pool has been launched. So let me give us 3 seconds to do that, or 5 seconds rather, and then we can call it today. Okay, Miss Victoria, you can speak. Hello, Miss Victoria, do you have a question? You can speak before we round up.
Yes, please. I said I don't understand what you asked us to do because I'm looking at my body buttons, but I don't know how to go about it, please. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I said, well, can you see the activity section on your screen right now?
No, please.
Activity icon. Can you see that?
I'm trying to check. I'm not seeing any.
Mm.
Kindly allow me to do this. Go to your right hand side. Can you see we have like 5 icons there? Can you see it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I'm having 4.
Okay. Okay, 4. Okay. Yeah. So we have the one where you have the triangle at the top, then square and the circle. Can you see that?
Activities.
Yeah, that is it. Activities. Click on it.
Okay, I have done that, please.
Okay. Is there anyone having issues with it?
So what's the next instruction on the activities? I should click on what, please?
When you click on activities, you go down to polls.
Okay.
Then click
I'm
on
seeing.
polls and see the question. There are 3 questions in the poll.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you again, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Murphy, for facilitating this workshop.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed the training.
Thank
It
you,
was.
everyone. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Murphy.
Murphy. Thank you, Miss Precious.
Thank you, Miss
I'm
Precious. Thank you,
grateful.
Mr. Murphy.
Thank you.